You know what the problem is? You keep opening your heart to people who don't deserve access to it. You keep handing out your story like it's free samples, as if every stranger has earned the right to know what you've been through. And then you wonder why people look at you differently, why they treat you differently, why they use your pain against you. Not everyone deserves to know the chapters of your life. Some people only ask because they're curious, not because they care. Some will sit there, nodding, pretending to listen, but deep down they're gathering details they can twist later, details they can gossip about, details they can throw in your face when you're most vulnerable. You owe them nothing. Your story is sacred. It's not a show for everyone to watch. It's not a book you hand out for free at the door. The truth is, the more you reveal, the more you give people the power to misinterpret you. The more you explain, the more you give them space to judge, to label, to minimize what you've survived. And sometimes silence is the strongest language you can speak. Because mystery protects you. Silence protects you. When you stop oversharing, you reclaim your power. You'll notice how people try to figure you out, how they lean in, how they guess, how they wonder. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to explain. You don't have to prove anything. The people who truly matter, they won't need the details to respect you. They'll feel it in your presence, in your energy, and how you carry yourself. So stop giving away the pieces of your soul to anyone who asks. Learn to hold things close to your chest. Learn to let your scars be your strength, not your conversation starter. Protect your story, because not everyone deserves a seat in the theater of your life. Some people haven't even earned a ticket to stand outside the door. Keep your power, keep your silence, and let them wonder. When you go through life, you'll realize something powerful. Your story is not for everyone. It is not something you should hand over to every person you meet as if it were free, as if it cost you nothing to live through. Your story has weight, it has pain, it has lessons carved into it by blood, by tears, by sleepless nights. And every time you casually share it with people who haven't earned the right to hold it, you are giving away something sacred, something that should remain yours until someone proves worthy of knowing it. You've been taught that being open means being honest, that telling people about your past means being vulnerable and authentic. But let me ask you, how many times did that openness cost you? How many times did the very details you shared end up in someone else's mouth, reshaped into gossip, twisted into judgment, or used against you when you were at your lowest? That's what happens when you hand over something valuable to people who don't even know how to respect it. They can't carry it because it doesn't belong to them. Your story is not just a sequence of events. It is your strength. It is your evidence that you survived. It is your reminder of how far you've come. And when you give it away too easily, when you let people peek inside without earning that privilege, you cheapen it. You allow others to define it for you, to interpret it in ways you didn't mean, to reduce something extraordinary into just a conversation piece. You must understand your story is sacred and it is not for everyone. The world is full of people who are curious, but curiosity is not the same as care. They will ask you what happened. They will dig for details, not because they want to help you heal, but because they want to satisfy their need for information. They want to know not so they can understand you, but so they can place you into a box, so they can figure you out, so they can compare you to themselves. And you have to learn the difference between people who genuinely want to connect with you and people who are just hungry for your pain. That's why you must protect your story. That's why you must choose carefully who gets to hear it. Because some people aren't meant to carry your truth. Some people don't deserve access to the parts of you that were built in silence, through storms, through nights no one else witnessed. You survived those battles alone, and not everyone has earned the right to know what it cost you.
When you hold your story close, you protect your peace, you protect your power. You remind yourself that you are not defined by what you went through, you are defined by how you carry yourself now. When people can't pin down your history, when they can't label you based on your past, they are forced to meet you in the present. They are forced to respect who you are without attaching it to what you've been through. That's what makes silence powerful. It allows you to walk in rooms with your head high, without feeling the need to explain yourself.
Think about how many times you've shared your heart, only to feel regret afterwards. That sinking feeling of realizing you gave too much to someone who wasn't safe. That's the lesson. You don't have to prove yourself by telling your story. You don't owe anyone explanations. You don't have to open every door of your soul just because someone knocked. You are allowed to say nothing. You are allowed to let people wonder. You are allowed to keep what is sacred. Sacred. Because here's the truth. The right people will never need the full story to love and respect you. They'll feel your strength in your energy. They'll recognize your resilience and how you carry yourself. They won't need to dig through your past to know your worth. And those are the only people who deserve closeness. Everyone else can stay outside the gates. So stop handing over your story like it's nothing. Start treating it as the treasure it is protected. Cherish it. Guard it. Not everyone deserves to know what shaped you. Not everyone is worthy of carrying the weight of your truth. And when you learn that, when you begin to keep your story for those who truly honor it, you'll realize something incredible. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is power. Silence is one of the most underestimated powers you will ever hold. People think that speaking, explaining, telling, and constantly expressing themselves is what makes them strong. They think that when they share every detail, when they justify, when they pour their whole soul out, it somehow proves their honesty, their worth, or their strength. But the truth is, silence is louder than words will ever be. Silence commands respect in a way that noise never can.
When you choose silence, you choose control. You choose not to hand over your energy to people who don't deserve it. You choose not to waste your breath on explanations that won't be understood, on arguments that won't change a thing, or on confessions that will only be judged. When you are silent, you are not empty, you are deliberate. Every word you hold back is an act of self-protection. Every pause you create is a statement in itself.
Think about it. When you walk into a room and you're quiet, people start to notice you differently. They lean in, they observe you, they feel your presence. Why? Because silence creates mystery. Silence makes people wonder, and mystery is power. If everyone can read you easily, if everyone knows your every thought, your every move, your every struggle, you've given them nothing to figure out, nothing to respect. But when you hold back, when you let your silence speak, people are forced to respect the fact that they cannot easily access you. You don't need to announce every battle you fight. You don't need to explain every emotion you feel. You don't need to narrate your growth step by step. The people who matter, the ones who truly see you, they'll recognize your strength without a word. They'll notice it in the way you carry yourself, in the calmness of your energy, in the fact that you don't rush to be understood. Because someone who is truly powerful doesn't beg to be understood. They simply are. Silence protects you from those who don't care. Because let's be real, most people don't actually listen to understand. They listen to respond. They listen to compare. They listen to judge. And when you give them less to work with, when you choose not to feed them with every detail, they lose their grip. They can't twist what you didn't say. They can't use against you what you didn't share. They can't break something they don't have access to. That's why silence is one of the greatest shields you'll ever have. And the best part, silence makes people uncomfortable. They will push you, they will try to get you to spill, they will ask and prod and test you. But when you stay calm, when you don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction, it unsettles them. It forces them to realize they have no control over you. That's power. Because power is not about shouting the loudest or speaking the most. It's about being untouchable, unshaken, unreadable. Silence also gives you clarity. When you stop talking, you start listening. You hear things you would have missed if you were too busy filling the air with your own voice. You begin to notice people's true intentions. You realize who respects your boundaries, who gets uncomfortable with your quiet strength, and who deserves your words when you finally choose to give them. Silence teaches you discernment. Not everyone deserves your story. Not everyone deserves your reaction. Not everyone deserves your voice. You don't need to be an open book. You don't need to hand people access to every page of your life. Silence allows you to choose carefully, to share intentionally, to value your words, because when you speak less, your words mean more. When you're quiet most of the time, the moment you decide to speak, people pay attention, they lean in, they listen differently. That's the power of silence. It amplifies your voice when you finally choose to use it. And remember, silence doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you don't know what to say. It doesn't mean you're afraid. It means you're wise enough to know that not every situation deserves your energy. It means you're secure enough to know that your worth isn't tied to proving yourself. It means you've mastered the art of self-control, and that is a strength very few people ever reach. So let them wonder, let them guess, let them try to figure you out. You don't owe anyone your words. You don't owe anyone your story. And the more you embrace silence, the more you'll realize that true power isn't about being heard. It's about being unshakable, whether you speak or not. Your silence is not emptiness. Your silence is your strength. Not everyone has earned the right to know your life. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, and yet so often you give people access as if it costs you nothing. You open up too quickly. You share your heart too freely. You let people into spaces they never worked for, never proved themselves worthy of, and then you're left wondering why you feel betrayed, why you feel drained, why you feel unseen. The truth is simple. Not everyone is meant to carry the weight of your story. Not everyone has earned the privilege to step into your world. When you understand this, your life changes. You start to realize that access to you is valuable. Your time, your energy, your presence is all valuable. And the moment you start treating it that way, people are forced to treat it that way too. But when you hand yourself over without thought, when you let everyone in without boundaries, you teach them that your value is negotiable. You teach them that they don't have to earn you, that you're just there, open, available whenever they want. And that is the fastest way to lose respect. You have to stop letting people in just because they ask. You have to stop confusing curiosity with care. Some people will ask you questions, not because they want to connect with you, but because they're noisy. They want material. They want something to compare their lives to. They want to know your pain so they can feel better about themselves. And when you fall into the trap of giving it all away, you hand them ammunition they never deserved to hold. Think about it. How many people truly showed up for you when you were breaking? How many were there in the silence when you cried alone, when you struggled in the dark? Those are the people who have earned the right to know you. Those are the people who deserve the deeper parts of your story. And most of the time, it's a very small number. The rest, they don't get access. They don't get the behind the scenes. They can stay at the surface level because that's all they've earned. It's not about being cold. It's about being wise. It's about protecting your energy like the treasure it is. Because if you let everyone in, if you give everyone a seat in your life, don't be surprised when they don't respect it. People value what they have to work for. They value what's rare. And when you become rare with your access, when you choose carefully who gets close, suddenly your presence has weight. Suddenly being near you feels like a privilege, and it should. Not everyone deserves to know what broke you. Not everyone deserves to know what healed you. Not everyone deserves to hear your fears, your plans, your dreams. Some things are meant to be protected until the right person proves that they can hold them safely. Because giving your truth to the wrong people is like handing glass to a child. They don't know how fragile it is. They'll drop it, they'll break it, and then you're left to pick up the pieces. Protect yourself from that. You have to learn to test people's intentions, not with your words, but with your silence. Watch how they behave when you don't give them everything. Do they stay? Do they respect the boundaries? Do they still show up even when you're not handing out pieces of yourself? That's how you know who deserves closeness. Because someone who only stays when you're giving, when you're open, when you're pouring yourself out, those people were never there for you. They were there for the access. You are not a museum where anyone can walk in and observe. You are not a book that anyone can flip open. You are a soul, a life, a collection of battles and victories that not everyone has earned the right to witness. Start acting like it. Start moving like you know your value. Start saying no to people who only want proximity but never bring respect. And when you do, you'll notice the shift. Some people will fall away. They'll complain. They'll accuse you of changing. They'll call you distant. Let them, because anyone who gets angry at your boundaries was benefiting from your lack of them. They were enjoying access to you without ever earning it. Losing them is not a loss. It's a clearing. It's making space for people who are truly worthy. So remember this, not everyone has earned a place in your story. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table. And when you stop giving out access so freely, when you stop protecting yourself like the treasure you are, life gets quieter, stronger, better. You realize that being selective isn't selfish, it's necessary. Because your energy is gold, your story is sacred, and only the right people should ever be allowed that close.